All right, welcome to the Santoni Spotlight. Today I have the pleasure of being joined by Anne Laguzza of the Works Consulting. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get started, I'd like to get a little context on you, your company, kind of where you've been, just so that the viewers have kind of a context of, you and what you're all about.
Awesome. So the Works Consulting, we are 17 years old, and there's really three aspects of the business. The first is human resources compliance. Kind of the second tier is the leadership development piece, which is either with small group or large group workshops, facilitating workshops for leaders. And then the third piece is performance coaching, which is really taking out individual leaders and working with them kind of on a, that specific designated or dedicated basis.
Gotcha. So you probably work across a lot of different industries, a lot of different business types, but what are kind of maybe the three things that trigger people to be like, okay, I probably need to reach out to someone. I've always done HR internally, or I have our office manager doing it, but we need some professional help. What are those three triggers? That's
a great question. It seems like when it becomes an employee issue that's beyond just paperwork and just like, okay, anyone can do the paperwork, and absolutely, but there's an employee issue and we don't know how to handle it, or it's becoming more difficult, people reach out to me. Sometimes if that great office manager leaves, people reach out to me because now they don't have anybody doing it.
Right.
And then also just in terms of making their teams better, trying to figure out how do I get my managers to be able to manage these groups better, be as effective as they can doing their work, but also leading their teams.
Gotcha. So the kind of performance management aspect of it, and kind of, I think that being in California, I think what you're referencing is the idea that, complications that could lead to litigation, and we kind of want to get ahead of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And also just even things about increasing employee engagement, and because really, employees that tend to be happier in the workplace, you often tend to have less litigation issues for sure.
Right. Yeah, it's funny as talking to small business owners, and we work with a lot of them, that they tend to focus on preventing litigation and issues, as opposed to focusing on performance, management, reviews, and creating an environment that kind of would fix those issues, right? They kind of get those things backwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So, maybe talk a little bit about maybe a recent client success story that with leaving out the details and protecting the innocent, where you can share information about, a recent client where you had ability to impact those things, or change the workplace, or change the, the employee engagement.
Yeah. I would say, that's, again, another great question. I would say that what comes to mind most recently is I had an opportunity to work with a leader who was really struggling. The team, I would say, all but had a mutiny, and sort of went to her supervisor and said, like, we're done, we're out if you don't do something about this. So they brought me in to work with her individually, and we were able to turn it around. It was pretty, I wasn't sure, I'm not going to lie about that. I wasn't sure if she was going to be able to embrace the change. I think she's been in her role for like 15 years, kind of been doing the same thing. And then this particular team, she hired a great team. That's the funny part, is she hired a great team, but they really were challenging her on her sort of old-fashioned leadership style. Huh. So it was great to see her be able to get to a place where they're very satisfied. She's got good retention. They're able to hire new people in because the team's working really well. So it's very exciting. Yeah.
So that's an example of someone who'd been tenured for a long time, and the change management aspect was probably what you're referring to as far as, the challenge, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hear this all the time, and so I'll ask you, maybe you have some insight, this buzzword millennials and management and performance management and what they are about. So give us a take on what your take on millennials and how they impact the workspace. And
I love millennials. They're like one of the best things that have ever happened to us, I think, because they're pushing the boundaries on the balance of work and personal, and I love that. I am not, when people say, oh, they work so many hours, my second question is, or my follow-up question really is are they productive though? Because somebody could work 60, 70 hours, but are they actually productive? And I'd rather see somebody get the same work done in 40 hours. So I love that millennials are really pushing that, back in the 80s it was work-life balance, but they're really pushing that and saying, hey, you know what, I don't want to work every minute of my life here. I want to balance it and be able to do other stuff. And I think there's a lot of great happening with millennials in the workplace.
So you're seeing that they're actually working harder, just in a different kind of setup.
They look at it very differently. Yeah, they're definitely not, my experience anyway, and the research I've done is that they're not looking to work 60 and 70 hour work weeks. They want to put it into 40. They'll work hard, but they want to be able to have fun too. And they're not going to sort of lose all of their personal drive and ambition just to funnel it into work.
When you're working with like a tenured manager who's been there 15 years, 20 years, or 30 years, and they're having to deal with millennials, what kind of guidance, do you give them?
I mean, it's really similar. Is it kind of, we break it down to what are your biggest concerns, and what I often hear is, well, they don't want to work more than 40 hours, and then it kind of goes back to, well, why do we need them to work more than 40 hours? Is the job really a full-time job, or is it a time and a half job where maybe we need to hire someone else? So I often draw it back to what are their biggest concerns, gotcha. And then we kind of go from there.
Interesting. So obviously consulting and working with companies. How did you get there? What made you, want to be, consulting with a variety of companies as opposed to, obviously working in-house probably previously?
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing HR in-house for some pretty large companies. How did that transition come about, and what do you enjoy about that?
I think, honestly, when I was an employee, so I was an employee, an HR manager, director for 10 years prior to starting my own business. And I really stayed at most companies for about 2 years at a time. And I went into companies that were often very troubled. I would get the department set up, we would get everything functioning, all the processes, and then I would want to move on because it was time. And there was actually just someone who was a professor when I was getting my master's degree who called my career a portfolio career, which I kind of liked. And I was the first person who ever actually said, hey, it's okay that you're changing jobs every 2 years. Up until then, all I would hear is, you got to stay somewhere, So it was kind of cool to hear someone position it that it was a positive. And then what I found is that I really like to go in and solve problems and make companies better, and it just was a natural shift to turn it into consulting.
Very cool. So on the consulting side, as a small business owner yourself, entrepreneur, what are some keys to that you found to growing your business despite economic cycles and different industries that you work within?
You have to put in the work, number one, and you just kind of have to stick to it, like every single day. I work on my business every day. That is the truth. I think about it all the time, but I don't think about it in it's not a negative thing for me. I love it. I love everything that I do about it, and it's something I'm completely committed to. So a lot of people ask me about starting businesses. I've met with a lot of people who have the idea, and what I always tell them is, the idea is almost the easy part. Like, that's the easy part. It's the getting the clients, and it's the doing the work, and it's all that other stuff that you have to do that it feels very romantic, but it's, it's work. It is what it is, but it's fun. I love it, but you have to be ready for that.
Gotcha. So, aside, in getting the work is obviously super important. You have the greatest skills. So what are some things that you've strategies and things that you implemented to try and bring on new business on the sales side, business development side for your company?
Definitely integrating social media for sure, which I know you're doing the same thing. That anybody who's kind of not doing that, I think, is maybe missing a great opportunity. There's a lot of connections that can be made there. I know sometimes it's easy and feels overwhelming all at the same time. So that's an interesting thing about social media. And then I think just realizing that you never know where your next customer is going to come from or your next client. I treat everybody that I meet with the potential that they could be a client, even if it's seriously the person in the grocery store. I've met more people in just random places that'll say, oh, what do you do? And then they'll be like, oh, you know what? I know somebody who might need your service. So I just keep that top of mind, that I never know who I'm interacting with, and they could potentially either be a client or a referral at some point.
Sure. That's a great point. Yeah, being in professional services myself, I'm always talking to people about the fact that it's not about volume. It's that one. It could be that one key client that launches you, and you never know where that's going to come from. So it's a great point.
So true.
Before we let you go, we like to go on the personal side. So we're going to put like 30 seconds on the clock, do a little lightning round, and ask you some questions.
Okay.
Good with that?
I'm ready.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Black or?
Oh no, definitely. It's got to have
it's
got to have like coconut milk in it or something like that. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Cats or dogs?
I like both, but I'm going with dogs.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite app?
That's got to be Instagram.
Instagram. That's so funny because everyone's saying either Waze or Maps. So Instagram, I agree.
Instagram for sure.
And best book that you read in the last 12 months?
You know what? Okay, I'm going to lie. It wasn't in the last 12 months, but it has absolutely been one of the best books. It's Relentless.
Okay.
It's excellent. It is just such a good book. It was like a big game changer for me. Absolutely.
Cool. And when you're not consulting with companies and studying up on HR laws, what do you like to do for fun?
I am an avid road cyclist.
Oh.
So you will see me out riding my bicycle on PCH or, anywhere. Redondo, Orange County.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. I ride as often as I can.
So what do you do to prevent vehicles from colliding with you?
You're not supposed to say that.
I'm just curious.
You know what? Seriously, I
don't.
don't.
Because you're in one piece.
Yeah, so. I really don't ever get on my bicycle unless I'm completely mentally alert. Like if I'm tired, I will not get on my bike. I don't understand people who do that. I get it, they can, but I got to be completely alert. But it's a definitely, talk about times have changed. the fact that drivers are so much more distracted, it's something I think about every single time I'm on the road.
Because they love Instagram and they love
They
to be
like
out there
exactly,
driving, so
and they got to be taking a picture of the ocean as they're driving by.
that's great. Well, Anne, thank you so much for taking time to stop by and talk to our viewers. We really appreciate you having me
Thank
on the
you.
show.
It's great.
Thank you.